Hey, I think there is. Mandrill saying he think it's more like 5 to 10%. Nah, it ain't that low, bro. It ain't that low. Now, you know, there's a lot of women who want it, but they just don't know how to go about getting it. You know what I mean? Like they don't know how to do it. They haven't been taught. Right? I'm teaching my daughter now. I teach my daughter now. Like I'm paying attention to what's going on. Like my daughter, the kids now they're in these different platforms, like in these chats with emojis up or whatever. They don't use their own pictures or whatever. But I get to hear these kids talking. I just bust in my daughter's room and she's trying to, give signals to her friends because they can't see her. They can only hear her. So it's kind of like, what's that? Man, what's that platform where, damn it, where everyone goes on there? Damn, I can't think of it, but it's just one of those platforms where you log in and people can hear your voice, so I'll go in there and I'll listen. And I'll tell my daughter, like, don't say nothing, I just want to listen. And I'm not going to hold her, accountable for what these kids are saying. They're teenagers. Come on, I remember what it was like when I was a teenager. Thank God that they're just talking. Because when I was their age, I was out there committing felonies. So it's like, thank God they're just talking. And I'll sit there and I'll listen, and then I'll leave the room after a while, and then I'll talk to my daughter about it. Like, hey, this is what's up. And my daughter, she wants that. She wants that male leadership. She wants that wisdom. She's like, she'll come to me and ask me questions like, Papa, what do you think about this? Papa, what do you think about that? Papa, this person said this. I don't know what to do. Kids want that. Kids need that. So I think that women do want that leadership, man. I think they do want to build. And I think it's 45 to 50%. Not really closer to 45. Let's say 40 to 45%. I'll go 40 to 45% of women will build with you. The rest of them, they own something different. So let's get back to it.
That's
How do
fair.
you feel? How do you feel about that, Kim?
I agree with a lot of what he said. I've said before, I don't think that just in general, we'll even speak on black women because that's who he's talking about. I don't think that black women are taught to be wives. Whereas, this black woman, if she's going to college to get her degree, these white girls were taught to be wives. They were taught to look for a man to take care of them. They were taught to look for husbands. They're going to college to look for a husband. They're going to be more submissive. They're going to be more passive because they're playing the long game.
And you want to hear something crazy too? You know, it's funny. The white girls be the biggest hoes. I be warning people with these college educated white girls. Like if they join a sorority and shit like that, I tell guys all the time, like, bro, you also don't want to wife up a horse. So, like, what ends up happening a lot of times with black women, because black women typically only want to be, black women are very narrow in what they like a lot of times. They prefer black men overwhelmingly. But the problem on the black male side is black men will take whatever, right? So that's kind of the issue where you run into a problem with a lot of black women. Also, black women tend to favor looks a lot more than other races. Which is, I guess, maybe a masculine trait. But black women tend to be more interested in the way that they dress, the way they conduct themselves, the way they look, etc. Like it's very interesting how I've noticed that with black women, they tend to be the race that is very interested in the way a man looks, which is fine. You can have your preferences, but what the problem with that is it dilutes the marketplace of men that you are going to open yourself up to. And when black women go to college and they educate themselves, etc., they kind of bring that percentage down even more so as they climb up the ranks. But like with white girls, you're right. They go to college. They're looking for a husband while they're there in school a lot of times, because a lot of times they don't even want to work their shitty ass, HR job that they end up getting. But they end up being hoes a lot of the times, if we're going to be honest. So that's another thing that I tell guys to watch out for when it comes to the white girls, because every every group of women has their stereotypes that guys got to look out for.
Bro, keep in mind, this is Anton's panel. Normally, it's so much screaming going on back and forth. People get mad, blah, blah, blah. It's out of control. I don't watch a lot of his panels. But this right here, definitely worth the watch. And what he's saying is factual. Right? And then, even with, hey, don't get mad at me, but sisters in sororities, I mean, they can have a little bit of fun. I'll be talking to my homies that are Q dogs. The man, they be telling me like, what? I'm like, what's going on, bro? I'm like, man, let me tell you, bro. The Qs are just, and again, broke athletes. Now they got money, but back then they didn't have that money, right? They didn't have the deal that they got now. Man, it was like, say, man, these girls, these sorority girls, man, taking care of us, bro. They doing all kind of stuff, man. Like, what? Yeah, come on to this party. And I'm a soldier. I show up at the party like, oh, okay. I see what's going on here. All righty then. Right. So but you know, I guess with the white girls, because Myron went to, you know, like a predominantly white school. Like he didn't go to a HBCU, obviously. So, you know, we're gonna have to take him at his word. And he was a D1 athlete, right? He was on scholarship for rowing a crew or whatever. So, like, bro, he knows what he's talking about. And I've been to Chapel Hill, bro. I like Duke, you know what I mean? I've been over there to you know, North Carolina. You know what I mean? On Tar Heels, bro, they party up there, bro. They party. And y'all saw School Days. If y'all ain't seen School Days, go watch School Days. Remember when old boy was like, I ain't crossing no virgin. Remember that. Remember that. I'm not saying that that's every fraternity. I'm not saying that's every sorority. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying things like that do go on. But again, like shout out to Anton, shout out to Myron. This is a very calm panel and the women are listening and participating.
Carrie, what do you
He ain't
think?
lying.
Carrie, what do you think about the narrative between black, white cultural norms, black women not necessarily being taught to look for husbands, all of that type of stuff? What do you think about everything that's being communicated in a general sense?
I agree with a lot of what he just said. I don't know if it's that women are not necessarily being taught to be wives per se, as much as taught to be wives that men want. Because everybody is not taught to go be an independent woman void of a man. Like some women are genuinely taught to go marry, but they're also taught to have a career at the same time. They're taught to have kids, but they're taught to go get an education. They're not taught to not be a wife, but they're also not necessarily taught to prioritize being a wife. They're not necessarily taught the characteristics that a husband that they want would actually be looking for.
So
because everybody doesn't come from a broken home either. I mean, I know a lot, we say that a lot, and I'm not downing the numbers on it, but everybody doesn't come from a broken home. A lot of people have a 2-parent example, but they might not necessarily know how to be the wife that they want the husband
it's not
for.
just a black issue. It's a whole U.S. issue. The nuclear family's been destroyed, and there's a bunch of reasons for that. You know,
and you know, like I said, you see how this is a real conversation going on right now. It's not let's beat up on a red pill. It's not, you know, Myron's evil. He's the Antichrist. It's none of that. This is a real conversation of a serious issue that America and the rest of the Western world is dealing with right now. This is a serious issue right now, right? Men are participating, man. Dudes are staying home. They're not even working. We're not having babies. Right, we're not having babies. People are talking about we're coming to the end of the American empire, you know, like in our financial dominance. Why? Because we're not going to have another generation that's coming. We don't have a generation to punt this debt to. So it's about to be a problem, right? So this conversation needs to be had, and the fact that it's being had on this platform that we're watching here, Anton's platform, my platform, Fresh and Fit's been talking about this forever, whatever podcast, Access Vegas, you name it, they're talking about it. You know, PBD's talking about it. You know, you even got mainstream media talking about it, man. You got The View talking about it. You got all these other people. Everyone's talking about it. Professor Scott Galloway is talking about it. This is a serious problem. And like the sister said, she's like, well, not every, you know, black woman or black family is broken. And true. There are families out there that have mom and dad in the house, but who's running the house? Who's running the household? Who's calling the shots? And if it's mom, it could be a problem. Because in a lot of households, you know, dad gets stifled out. Like, don't listen to your daddy. He don't know what talking about. He ain't, you know, do what I say. It's like, nah, you need that discipline. Who's going to run that home? And then, you know, because it's not what's coming, your child is not going to have a problem inside the walls of your home. The real problem is going to be outside them doors. When they get out there in them trenches, that's what the real problem is going to be. And if your kids aren't coming back to talk to you, to get that wisdom, right, to get that understanding, to know that you got their back, then, bro, the streets got them. I know plenty of dudes out here when I was coming up gangster with it. Mom and dad at the house, living in the suburbs. Man, what the hell you doing down here? Boy, you don't even live here. Gangbangers in LA, I tell you all the time. Hey, man, these dudes down there, man, these dudes on Grape Street, man, them dudes, you know what I mean, in the 60s. And this dude's down there like, bro, you live in Stevenson's Ranch. The hell you doing down here? Hey, man, get your ass back out to Palmdale, bro. You got a nice house, grass. What you doing? Nah, I'm down. I want to show you how down I am. Like, man, you an idiot. You got a mom and a dad who love you? Like, my dad locked up, man. My mom on the block, man. She strung out. Man, I wish I had your life. So it's outside, not inside. Right? So that's something to think about. But she has a point, and she's right. Yeah, I had access to my mom and my dad. You know what I mean? Like, but we were in the same home. I had access, but I also had an opportunity to play them both against each other. Right? So that's the thing.